So good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for our MEFA Institute webinar about MEFA loans and what's new in 2022. So we're excited to get this loan season kicked off. We just announced our new loan rates on Tuesday, so they're hot off the press. So I'm going to share those with you today. My name is Stephanie Wells. I am here at MEFA. I'm going to have the panelists introduce themselves in a second. But just want to let everybody know who's joining us today. We are recording today's webinar. You have copies of the PowerPoint slides in the chat, and we will also share a link to the recording, which will have a link to the PowerPoint slides. Probably get that out to you tomorrow to everybody who registered. So thanks so much for joining us today. So I'll introduce myself, and then I will have our panelists introduce themselves. My name is Stephanie Wells, as I mentioned, Director of College Relations at MEFA. I've been at MEFA for over 21 years. Done a lot of different things at MEFA. Right now, my job for the past couple of years, which has been my job here and there throughout my term at MEFA, has really been to manage the relationships and the customer service with colleges and universities. So when you call our college administrator line or email us, you'll be getting Darina or myself. So we are in charge of that over here at MEFA. And I'm excited to have you all join us. In addition to that, I also provide a lot of expertise and guidance to families, answering calls, writing blogs, doing webinars. I'll mention a lot of that as we go. So I want to turn it over to my colleague, Darina Barreto, and have her introduce herself.
Hello, thank you for joining us today. As Stephanie mentioned, my name is Darina Barreto, and I work alongside Stephanie in our college relations team. So whenever you guys do call, you get to talk to me or her. So thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to hopefully an engaging discussion here.
Great, thank you. And Meg, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks, Stephanie. I'm Meg Villavicencio, and I have been at MEFA for about 19 years. I'm on MEFA's originations team, so I work closely with the processing of the applications.
Thank you, Meg. And Karen, thank you so much for joining us from ELM. We're excited that you take the time each year to join this discussion. Ever since we started working with ELM, it's been a really great partnership, and we always go to Karen for a lot of expertise. So, we wouldn't be able to do this training without her help. So Karen, I'll have you introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Karen Cooper. I am the manager of the National Service Center, and I have been with ELM for 22 years and been in all different capacities. So I'm happy to be here and hopefully be able to add some good points to the discussion. So thank you all also for attending today.
Thank you, Karen. And for those who are asking, the slides should be in the chat section. So if you want to download those, but again, I am going to share the slides with everybody. So let's get started. So just a little bit about MEFA and who we are. We are a nonprofit quasi-state authority. So we are self-financing. So we have been around since 1982. We're actually created by a handful of colleges in Massachusetts to offer a loan program for families back in the early 80s. The Plus Loan had a cap. So they needed another low-cost lending option for families here in Massachusetts. So since then, we've gone on, we started with the MEFA Loan. We've gone on to offer savings plans, which I'll mention, as well as guidance and education. So we really think of guidance and education as our biggest, product, if you will. And that's really the cornerstone of our mission here at MEFA, is to help families. Now, we are a Massachusetts-based company located right here in Boston, but we are a national lender. So in 2019, we flipped a switch and became a national lender. So we have a lot of folks on the line who are from out-of-state colleges. We've started working with a lot of new schools over the last couple of years, especially as we introduced ELM processing. And we're happy to have you on here. So we can lend to any student in the United States going to any school in the United States. And we'll go over the enrollment requirements. There are some, enrollment requirements that they need to meet. We'll go over the loan in more detail. So let's get started. And I just want to check and make sure we have everything here. So make sure we don't have any questions here. So we have, we will share the PowerPoint slides with everybody if you can't see that.
Sorry, Stephanie, just so you know that the chat, I shared the PowerPoint to everyone now, so they should see it. You had just put it to the host and the presenter. So
Okay, sorry about
that's what
that.
had happened. So it's there now. So
Okay, great. I don't usually share the slides. I usually share them after, but I want everybody to have them. So sorry about that. Okay, so let's keep going. So we're gonna start off talking about the MEFA loan, introduce the new rates. We're really pleased with what our finance team was able to come up with this year, especially in the rate environment that we're in, not just in the United States, but worldwide with inflation and things like that. So we're really proud of the rates that we're offering this year. I'm gonna show you some of the tools and guidance that we provide for families so that you can share that with them as well. And MEFA is a lender, but again, I mentioned we offer a lot of guidance that could be helpful for families that really don't, you're not recommending a loan, you're just recommending guidance. So I think some of those tools will be helpful. Of course, we're going to go through processing, go over some of the FAQs, some of the common questions and stumbling blocks that we come across over the last couple of years, and make sure that everybody's on the same page about that. And towards the end, we are going to have Meg demo the MEFA loan portal certification system. So anybody who's not processing through ELM is going to be processing through that system. So we will show you some of that as well. So let's get started here. So I can't talk about MEFA loans without talking about the guidance and education we provide at MEFA, because that really does direct everything we do. Everything we approach at MEFA is about providing guidance and education. We start working with families as soon as that child is born. We have a great program here in Massachusetts called Baby Steps, where every student, or every child, I should say, that's born can get a $50 seed deposit. We work with the state treasurer's office to provide that program. So we start early. When we say early college planning, we mean at birth. So we have managed both of the state's college savings plans, the U plan, prepaid tuition plan, and the U fund, which is the Massachusetts 529 plan. It is managed by Fidelity Investments. So we offer those programs so we can offer families a holistic approach. Of course, we're always trying to reach families early and often to avoid the borrowing, or at least try to keep that debt down as much as possible. We advise families to earn interest through savings, so you don't have to pay as much interest on loans once comes time to go to college. So it's not just about financial aid that we're able to offer families guidance, but we offer families guidance on the whole enrollment process. We have a lot of great information about the admissions process. We are constantly offering great webinars, blogs, panel discussions with esteemed colleagues from colleges all over the country, from admissions offices and financial aid offices, so that families can really get a good holistic view of, some inside scoop from the colleges about questions they may have about the whole process. And of course, we do walk families through the financial aid process. We help them with filling out the FAFSA, the profile. In the fall, we will get started with, for the upcoming year, weekly webinars to help families fill out those financial aid forms, ask questions. We partner with FAFSA Day here in Massachusetts to help families with one-on-one attention, filling out those financial aid forms. So we are knee-deep in providing that education at an early stage, but also at those critical stages where families need to fill out the FAFSA form and the profile form. Before the pandemic, we were offering about 500 in-person seminars on all these topics per year, with help from our college partners out there volunteering in the community. Obviously, with the pandemic, we had to switch very quickly to a 100% virtual approach. We are hoping in the fall to start to offer a hybrid model where we might be able to do some in-person programs and a lot of virtual programs. So we'll continue. We have found that the virtual programming is great. Anybody across the country can utilize these resources free of charge. So if you're from a college in another state, feel free to refer them to MEFA. They can watch our webinars, read our blogs, take advantage of the tools on our website. So we are based in Mass, but everything we do is free of charge. And we've talked to lots of families from out of state as well. And we provide them one-on-one guidance. They can set up appointments. We can do Zoom appointments, help families look at their financial aid awards, things like that. So we do offer that outreach at a grassroots level. In addition to the guidance and education we provide for families, we also do a lot of training and education for our school counselor partners, as well as our financial aid partners, admissions partners, bursar folks out at colleges. So, this webinar right now is part of our new MEFA Institute to provide training and education. And so we're really excited to be able to continue offering that. We're hoping to get back out in the community a little bit in person over the next year. We're still playing it safe due to the pandemic, but we have been able to reach out a little bit. Dorina and I actually went to a Rhode Island State Conference yesterday, which was really exciting to see people in person. So we're getting back out there, but this virtual programming is really great, especially being a national lender. We obviously can't travel all over. We have a small crew, and we do a lot with the resources we have. So virtual programming has been great. Now, of course, we offer financing strategies. The cornerstone of our education is to help families access financial aid first, utilize savings, payment plans at the college, and then as a last resort, they might need to borrow. We know that many families need to borrow, but we really rely on educating families about all the other options first, even when it comes time to selecting a college and helping them understand what the true cost is to go to that school for potentially 4 years. And if they're borrowing, I'll show you some great tools that I personally use with families that can help get to that, assist them with that conversation. We offer loans, which we're going to talk about, but we also offer MEFA Refi loans. So the MEFA Refi is an education refinancing loan that allows borrowers to refinance their federal and or private loans. Of course, if they're looking at refinancing federal loans, we have pop-ups and warnings all over the place during the application process, letting them know of their benefits as a federal borrower so that they don't lose those benefits. So we are very careful about letting folks know, you have some great benefits with this federal loan. Make sure you want to refinance that. And some folks still do that, but we do see, loans from all over the country that are refinancing with MEFA, with rates at 10%, 11%, 12%, private loans from other lenders. And so we're able to, help them in that situation. If they did find themselves in a situation where they borrowed at a very high rate, we're able to help them after the fact as well. Now, one thing we won't really have time to cover today because of the time, but I do want to give it a shout out, is our Mifa Pathway online college and career planning portal. So this is a free service, a free program. We actually have a whole department of folks that work on this program exclusively, working with our guidance community here in Massachusetts. It's similar to a Navient system, if you're familiar with that terminology in that system that folks use in the high schools. So Mifa Pathway is an incredible resource that we're able to offer as part of our guidance initiatives, and it is free of charge. So you can find the website here, mefapathway.org, if you want to learn a little bit more. And before we move on to the loans, I want to let you know of another program that we offer that's fairly new in the last few years, or last 5 years or so. It's called the Attainable Savings Plan. So this is part of the ABLE legislation that was passed to offer savings programs for people with disabilities to save with tax benefits for lots of different expenses. So not just education, but living expenses, medical expenses, so that they are not, penalized for saving. So these savings plans have protections so that they don't lose SSI if they save more than $2,000, for example, SSI benefits. So won't go into that too much detail, but I do want to let everybody know about all the things that we offer at MEFA so that you can see, it's more than just the MEFA loan. That's what we're working with you on as college administrators, but we do a lot more beyond just the MEFA loan. So feel free to check out, all of our programs here. Okay, so let's get started. Let's talk about MEFA loans. That's what we're here for, right? So let's talk. I'm going to focus mostly on the undergraduate loan because I know that that's where a lot of you that's the work you're working on. But our graduate loans, when we speak about those, the process works the same. So we will talk about that. So this year is, we know that there's a lot of inflation going on. It's affecting everybody from the, at the gas pumps to the grocery store to education loans. We just saw that federal loans went up as of July 1st of 2022, 1.26% increase on all federal education loans, the undergraduate loan, the plus loan for graduate students, everything went up. So, our MEFA loans did go up slightly, which, we're happy to at least keep them down at a very good interest rate. But when you're looking at loan comparisons and we start talking about loans for families, it has to be said that MEFA is always striving to be, much lower than the federal plus loan, which we do recommend for some families who might have credit issues or things of that nature. But the plus loan for next year is going to be 7.54%. So it's gone up quite a bit, actually. And the fees on that loan are over 4%, 4.2, over 4.2%. So when you start looking at, a MEFA loan or, even some other, nonprofit lenders have really good programs as well that families should look at, some of our fellow state authorities. It really is a no-brainer as far as you're just looking at interest rates to look at these loans. At 4.89% to 6.99%. That is our undergraduate loan rates for the upcoming year. I'll show you a little bit more detail on that, but we're really proud that we're able to continuously, keep our rates low, especially with inflation the way it is. These fixed interest rates are not affected by the market volatility that we're all experiencing right now. So fixed rates are going to be something that I think families are really looking forward to. We're looking at for this year for that predictability and peace of mind. So consider, everything we're talking about today with the MEFA loans. If we're not on your lender list, feel free to add us. If you have an RFI you want us to fill out, feel free to send that over to us. We'd be happy to fill that out. Especially being a national lender, to be able to lend at these rates, we're really proud of that at MEFA, and we take our mission seriously. So let's talk a little bit more detail about the MEFA loan. So when you talk about predictability, especially in the rate environment we're at, 4.89% to 6.89% are our new undergraduate loan rates. I'm going to open up that loan page right here. So you can see this right here. I'll just show you what families are looking at. And this is what we're showing them. So I'm just going to scroll down to the meat and potatoes of the page. So you can see here, and everybody should be able to see my screen, we have multiple repayment options to help families. And you can see before you even apply what those rates are, what the range of the rates are for each repayment option. And how it works with the loan process is families apply, we run their credit, they get an instant credit decision, and we notify them which repayment options based on their credit that they're eligible for and what the exact interest rate and monthly payment is for each repayment option. And then they can choose which one is going to work best for them. But we do have all of that information laid out here for them. Rates, APRs, and then I'm going to show you a great repayment calculator that I use all the time with families that gets into the total cost of the loan. So you can see here we have the details about how to apply, some of the fine print about minimum loan amounts, things like that. We have our eligibility requirements. So everything is laid out here. If you have questions, you can just go right here. But we do have a lot of information on our college administrator page, which I'll show you. Okay, so that, and right now we're getting a lot of questions about summer sessions. So I'll let Darina speak to that in a minute. I don't want to steal her thunder about summer loans. But we do have immediate repayment loans, interest only and deferred options. We have a cosign release loan that can be deferred as well. Very clear instructions on what to do, how to fill out the loan, and disclosure statements. So this is something that I always advise families, look at the fine print, make sure you're looking at those disclosure statements. I've just recently done a webinar for families on comparing loan options, and I bring out disclosure statements on the screen and point out things that they should be looking for. Disclosure statements should not be hard to find on a lender website. So you can see ours are right here, up front and center. We're very transparent about the rates, the cost, and all of that, all of the details on the loan. So with those fixed rates, it provides predictability with the monthly payments, as well as the interest rate, of course. There are no fees with the MEFA loan. And with all education loans, there's no prepayment penalties. So sometimes we have folks ask us about home equity loans and whether that would be a good idea. And we always tell them, take a look, but just make sure that that, some of them could, have, some prepayment penalties. You want to look at the fine print there if you're not using education loans specifically. So predictability is one, that's really key. Having options, every family's unique. They have their own situations. Of course, it would be great if families need to borrow that they go with the very lowest interest rate and start payments while the student's in school. But that might not work for every family's budget. So they might, might need to do interest only or deferred. I talk to a lot of families who say, well, I'm worried about losing my job, so I might do this deferred repayment and then make voluntary payments while the student's in school to keep that total cost down. And that might be their strategy. So we are able at MEFA to talk to them one-on-one. We offer one-on-one appointments through Zoom. They can call us or email us, 9 to 5. During the summer, we're going to be open as of next week, 9 to 6. So for those folks on the West Coast, we can help families, during the day. And of course, if they sign up for our email curriculum, we'll let them know about great webinars that we have going on. So these tools and resources I'm talking about, I just want to restate, are available for everyone in the country at no charge. We are a national lender, so all of these resources are available to them. So families really do, need to pick which option is going to be best for them. And they can be really confused by even just looking at that loan chart we showed you, which one is going to work, especially when they're looking at other lenders, and they might have talked to a friend on the soccer field who might have used a plus loan, and another person might have used a loan through their local bank or credit union. And so it can be overwhelming. So we can definitely help them, read through the fine print and make a good decision. And it might be, that they can get, a lower rate. And if they can get a lower rate than MEFA, then great, go for that. But our rates are extremely competitive, as you can see. So when I talk about predictability and talk about our fixed interest rates, I do want to just bring up one point that we do talk about. When families are looking at interest rates, it's important to look at the full range of the interest rates, not just that lowest starting point. So it's great. Our rates start at 4.89%. That's a nice low rate in today's rate environment. But the range of MEFA rates, you can see it's only about 2% difference between the lowest rate and the highest rate. When you start looking at other loan options out there in the marketplace, those rates could range from 3 something to 13 point something, depending on the lender. So even if you're looking at a lender who might offer, let's say, I'm making this up, this is not a specific lender, 4% to 12%, that's a pretty common big range of interest rates. Most families are going to fall in the middle somewhere. So, credit score wise, most people fall kind of right in the middle. So if you're right in the middle with MEFA, you're not going to go very high. The rate's not going to be that high, and there's not a lot of range there. So it's only about 2% difference. Whereas if you're looking at a loan that might be 4% to 12%, if you look at that middle rate, about 8%, that's 2 to 3% higher than some of MEFA's rates. And a lot of families that I've spoken to who may have applied through other lenders, I've talked to them, we've seen 6 and 7% interest rates higher than MEFA, within a day of applying with each loan. So it can be a big difference, when you're looking at that range. So we do want to bring that to everybody's attention, that narrow rate range with MEFA. And, we see that with some other of the state authorities. That can be a really big benefit for families and give them peace of mind before they even apply. Okay, I know my rate is not going to go higher than this amount. So options are available. We also want families to, explore and do their research, start early. We have so many resources on MEFA.org, blogs, and webinars that will help families, guide them in a transparent way of the options that are available and how to really, kind of weed through all the noise, so to speak. I'm going to show you a demo of our student loan payment calculator in a minute that can help with that, and let families know, what is going to be that total cost, What do they need to know before they actually even apply, before they borrow? We also offer guidance, of course. So that's a big cornerstone of lending, is to be able to provide guidance to families who need it. I mentioned they can reach out to us 9 to 6 during the summer through the phone. I'll provide that information at the end, our email and websites, all that good stuff. But we can walk them through their options, and they can self-select. They can go on our website at 3 in the morning if they want and watch one of our recorded videos or webinars. And we just posted a blog I just wrote about comparing loan options. So just want to let you know all the resources that are available. It's not just about the loan. It's also about the guidance and the additional support. And of course, transparency that's provided. So let me just go on the next page here. I'm going to show you one of my favorite tools on MEFA.org, which is our student loan payment calculator. And feel free, folks, if anybody needs to ask questions, to type those in, and we will, I'll have my MEFA friends stop me if I miss a question, I need to stop and answer it. So let's just show you this payment calculator, and this is on the MEFA undergrad and graduate, undergraduate loan page. So you can find it there. You can also find it under paying for college. We have a lot of other calculators here that I love, but I'll just show you and demonstrate the payment calculator. And I use this when families are looking at different colleges that the student has been accepted to up until the bill is due. It can be used at any point during that process. So if we look at a family, let's say they're borrowing, let's say 20,000, which seems to be a magic number, and they have to select 4 years before graduation if they're a freshman. And it is based on credit profile. So we're going to utilize the highest credit score to offer the lowest rate. So students obviously are going to need to apply with a credit-worthy cover or two. Sometimes we talk to parents who say, well, I filed bankruptcy a few years ago, and they might have a grandparent who wants to help them with borrowing. So they might have grandma with her 800 credit score added additional cosigner so they can get a good rate there or get approved. So I'll just put in, the middle, very good credit, because that's usually where families fall, and just say calculate. And then we can walk through all the different options so that they can figure out before they even borrow, before they even apply, what am I looking at? So that $20,000 amount that they owe could be, very overwhelming for a family. So I always ask them, well, how much can you pay per month? Let's break it down. So if we look at this calculator, an immediate repayment loan for 10 years at our lowest interest rate is going to be a little over $200 a month. They could do 15 years, a little less than 200. And then we have interest only and deferred, so on and so forth. And so if this family said, I can afford $1,000 a month, I'd say, great, let's not borrow that full 20,000. Let's put, 8,000 of it on a monthly payment plan for 800 a month, and then borrow, the additional 12,000. So that's the type of combination strategy that we educate families to use to reduce their borrowing. Even though we're a lender, we don't want them to borrow unless they need to, because it's going to add up. As you know, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, they might need to borrow. So we do talk about that 4-year plan. This is an annual process. We explain they have to apply for financial aid each year. And we do zero in on that total cost of the loan. It's not going to cost them just $20,000 to borrow. It's going to cost, in this case, at least, $26,000 or more, with the minimum payments for the full term of that loan. And if you go up from there, you're looking at 30-something thousand if they did minimum payments for the full term. So it can add up. Just taking off $5,000 off that loan using a payment plan can really reduce that total cost of the loan. So that's what I'll show them. I'll show them, let's put in 15,000. We'll calculate that and look at that. We've knocked $6,000 in interest off that loan, right? By just borrowing a little bit less. So this is the type of education we're providing to families throughout. So let me go back to my PowerPoint here. And we are going to talk a little bit about the certification and disbursement options. So feel free, folks. I know I kind of went through a little bit of detail on that MEFA loan, the terms. Now we're going to get into the processing, the eligibility requirements, all of that stuff that pops up when you're certifying loans and talking to students and families. So we have two ways that you can certify loans, and many of you are set up on one or the other. A lot of our schools that we're working with certify through ELM. We started working with ELM in July of 2020. So we're really excited to be doing that because a lot of schools that we work with have been asking us for years to sign up with ELM. We can disperse electronically through ELM. And so if you're using ELM, you can certify right through ELM One to utilize all your MEFA loan programs. We do ask that when you're certifying loans through ELM, that you certify the MEFA loan as if the undergraduate loans, as if it was a parent loan or a sponsored loan, because the person in the borrower details section on ELM needs to be the primary borrower, not the student borrower. So the student information is in the student section, and then the borrower information is in the borrower details. If you were to certify it with the student in both sections, it would create a flag, an exception processing hold. We would get in touch with you, we'd fix it, but it will just delay the process. So we can fix that if it happens. But to keep things streamlined, we ask that you do process it as an undergraduate loan, as a parent-sponsored loan. So I'll just click on a couple things, some things that we have on our website here. So we have a great section that's linked through our college administrator page of processing through ELM. So I'm not going to go through all these, I'll let you poke around, but basically all of your FAQs are right here. Our college administrator here on MEFA.org, I'll show you that right here. I'm just going to scroll through, show you some of the features here on our college admin page. We have our trainings, that's always going to be at the top, as well as these two certification options that we're talking about here. MEFA loan eligibility is all going to be on here as well. Certificate disclosure statements are on here, and other trainings, our U plan, which is really more pertinent to Massachusetts colleges. All of that great information is going to be on here, ready for you. So in addition to ELM, and I know we have a lot of folks on the line who might be processing, let's say through ScholarNet, and we are currently not set up to process through ScholarNet. We don't anticipate that we will be processing through ScholarNet for this upcoming peak season. It's something we would consider in the future. So for folks who aren't using ELM, we encourage you to certify through our MEFA Loan online portal. That's super easy to use, very user-friendly. Before we went to ELM, everybody that was using the portal did love our MEFA portal, but utilizing ELM is just a little bit easier for everybody. So if you need to set somebody up in the portal right there, MEFA.org/certify. You can click on add new school or users. We can set that up for you very quickly. We encourage everybody to do electronic disbursements. If I know that that's not going to work with every school, especially if you're using maybe ScholarNet, but electronic disbursements are going to show up the day of the disbursement, which is going to be on a Friday if you're certifying through the MEFA portal. If we send you a check, if you're set up for check disbursements, it will go out the following business day via snail mail. So it will go out on that Monday, and then it's going to take a little time to get to your campus and then to be processed. So electronic is the way to go. We are trying as much as possible to get away from paper, but we know that check disbursements might be something that some schools need. We also encourage, we're going to talk about refunds in a minute, but electronic refunds. If you want to set up EFT disbursements, it's right on that college administrator page. There's a wire transfer form, easy to set up. Fill this out, send it back to us. Of course, that link, I might need to reset that, but it should be fine on our webpage. Okay, so when you're certifying MEFA loans, there's a few things that you are confirming. And I'm going to turn it over right now to my colleague, Darina, and she is going to go over the next couple of slides about what type of guidance we want to make sure that you're looking at when you're certifying MEFA loans. So take it away, Darina.
Thank you, Stephanie. Now that you know your options for certifying MEFA loans, let's get into what you are certifying in regards to our requirements. So when you are certifying a MEFA loan, you are ensuring that the following statements are true. The amount certified is equal to or less than the student's cost of attendance minus expected financial aid. And you are also certifying that the student is enrolled at least half-time in an accredited degree granting program, and that the student is also making satisfactory academic progress as defined by your institution. And sometimes we do get a little bit of some questions in regards to our satisfactory academic progress guidelines, and that really is whatever policy you have in place at your school for SAP. We are just asking, is the student meeting that policy? And then I just wanted to take a moment, of course, we wanted to highlight, since we are in the summer term, that if the students are meeting these requirements, they are able to borrow a summer loan for less than half time, and it is a shorter term, so we do understand that, but that has to, in order for them to be eligible, they would of course have to be meeting the requirements that I just highlighted above during the academic year. And of course, we also want to highlight that students are eligible to borrow a MEFA loan to cover a past due balance, but they would have to be currently enrolled in order to be eligible. So I just wanted to take a moment to highlight that, as well as we do get a couple of questions during this time in regards to our past due policy.
Great, thank you, Dorina. I wanted to add just a couple points that just came to mind regarding item number 1. We have seen a few schools here and there, not a lot. Sometimes schools might include the MEFA loan amount in the expected financial aid. So then the cost minus aid, it might be higher than the loan amount. So that might cause a red flag in ELM, and we might have to correct that. So don't include the MEFA loan amount as part of the financial aid. It would be cost of attendance minus the financial aid on their financial aid offer. And then whatever's left over, they can borrow up to that amount. And then one other quick point I wanted to make with the summer loans. So you, in order for it to go through in our system, you do have to certify, as as Dorina mentioned, that they're enrolled at least half time. So you're using the academic year enrollment to get that summer loan through. If you certify that it's less than half time, even though we'll allow it to go through for summer loans, it's still going to create a red flag that we'll have to fix and have you update that status so that we can get the loan through. So just want to mention those couple points, and I'll let Dorina talk about loans, reductions, and refunds.
Thank you, Stephanie, for mentioning that 2 points. Those are very important, especially during processing. So let's talk a little bit about loan reductions and refunds. As we know, families' needs and plans do change, so we want to take a moment to talk about this. And we always like to make sure families know that if their plans do change, they are able to reduce their loan. And we also have found that it's important to educate the family and let them know that no interest is going to accrue until the disbursement is sent to the school. And even when the disbursement is sent to the school, a refund can be issued to us. And once we receive that refund, we will reverse the interest on the refund amount. So we just wanted to, of course, let you know that, and also want to make sure the families are aware of this. And so when you are making loan reductions, you are able to do it prior to disbursement, and you have up to 3 days before the scheduled disbursement date to make any loan reductions. And if it's after the disbursement went out, you would have to send us a refund, and I will highlight the ways that you can do that. So if you are an ELM school, you can send us a refund via NGN, and we usually process the refunds on Wednesdays. So we just wanted to mention that because sometimes you guys will put in the reduction and might not see the change right away. So just just know the timeline that we process it on our end on Wednesdays. And then another thing that we just want to point out in regards to our schools that do send refunds via ELM is that when you are putting in a reduction in ELM, just make sure you do it once. And if you don't see the change, just call us just to confirm that we received it, just so there's not a duplicate reduction, and that can cause the loan to decrease, twice. And we definitely don't want that to happen. So whenever you don't see that, the student's reduction has taken place, feel free to call us before taking any action. So if you receive disbursements with MEFA that is not via NDN, you can send us refunds electronically. And Stephanie did highlight that earlier. So that form is available on our college administrator page. And if you have issues finding it, give us a call. We'll be happy to provide it to you. And you also have the options to send us refunds via paper check. And then highlighted below it is the address that you would be able to send it to. This is also available on our college administrators page. So when you're sending us that refund, make sure it's addressed to MEFA, attention low refunds. And then our address is 60 State Street, Suite 90, Boston, Massachusetts, and zip code 02109. And you don't have to remember this. We will provide this information, and it's in so many different places. So, but we just wanted to highlight the options, of course, for loan reductions and refunds. Anything I missed that you guys want to mention here?
No, I think that's great, Darina. I do want to just reiterate the reversal of interest on the refund amount. So, we might process it on Wednesday, but we're going to reverse the interest from the date of disbursement. So regardless of when the refund comes in, we'll reverse interest from the date of disbursement. So families don't have to worry about that. We do talk to a lot of families, like Darina said, who just apply one semester at a time because they don't want to, they're worried about the spring semester being charged interest for that until they need it in January. And we don't assess interest till the monies are dispersed. Before I turn it over to Meg to talk a little bit more about processing, I want to just see if Karen has anything to add. I know we've been talking about a little bit of ELM stuff, and see if you have anything that you wanted to reiterate. I do have two questions that I want to go through before I turn it over to Meg, but I want to give Karen a chance if she has anything here that she wants to reiterate.
Sure, thank you. No, actually, it looks like you guys have covered pretty much everything. And I appreciate it. So if you have any questions about it, of course, you can reach out to us too. But yeah, you guys have covered everything I would have mentioned. So
I think you might have something on the next slide, but we'll hold off on that one. Okay, let me just go over a couple questions that I just got. Two really good questions here. So the first one asks, do all undergraduate loans require the parent to be the primary borrower? And the answer to that is no, it doesn't have to be a parent. So, but most undergraduate students are going to need a co-borrower of some sort. It could be anybody who's credit worthy. Could be grandma, grandpa, family friend, mom and grandma, mom and aunt or uncle, whoever it might be. And we'll use the highest credit score of the people who are applying to access the lowest rate for that loan. So it doesn't have to be a parent per se. We say process it as a parent loan, just so you know that who needs to be in the borrower details. And we have loan codes and all of that good stuff on our website if you need it. But I just want to reiterate that it doesn't have to be a parent per se, but they do need a co-signer. If an undergraduate student, and this is just for the undergraduate loan, graduate students can apply without a co-signer, but on the undergraduate loan, if they do try to apply without a co-borrower, we will give them a timeout and have them give us a call and talk them through the qualifications to get the loan, and then take the application over the phone. If they say, yep, I'm an adult, I have established credit, I have an income, then we'll let them apply. But that is few and far between the number of folks that we get in that scenario. Second question is regarding the past due balance and what we consider the previous academic, if we can do a past due balance from the previous academic year. So for example, if a student needs a loan for the spring, but we're already in the summer term, but they're not enrolled for summer, can you do that? And we wouldn't consider, I'll let Meg pipe in about this, but summer, we're sort of flexible with the enrollment for summer. So right now, if summer is part of the end of the school year, June timeframe when we're kind of switching over semesters, it can get a little bit clunky, but just give us a call if you're not sure whether it can be processed, and we can talk through the timeline. But some schools, the summer loan is part of the academic year, and sometimes it's the beginning of the academic year or the end. So it can be a little bit hard to answer depending on the school. But the student, it really does need to be within the current academic year. So if you had someone in August trying to apply for the previous spring, it wouldn't really usually work if the summer is part of the beginning of your academic year. I don't know if that answered, if I bungled that question, Diane, but feel free to type another message in if I didn't clarify that. But they do need to be, currently enrolled. So a situation we come across a lot and is, maybe they can't enroll for the spring because they didn't pay their fall bill. That happens a lot. So they really do need to be enrolled. If it's February and they're trying to enroll and they didn't pay their fall bill and they need a loan for fall, we wouldn't want to put students who are in that situation into more debt. That's a big concern for us if they're not, on the right path, so to speak. So we want to make sure that they're enrolled. So that's key. But it does have to be for the current academic year. So I hope, Diane, that answers your question. But feel free to type another message in the chat if that doesn't cover it. Okay, so Diane wrote another message. Students might have a summer as a trailer and headers, which makes it complicated. So yeah, so it is going to be different from school to school. But feel free to call us if you want to talk through an individual situation. All right, folks, so feel free to keep those Q&As coming. I am going to turn it over to Meg, and we will, feel free to, go through any questions and some of these things. I think, I know, Karen, you're going to have a couple comments on some of these bullets, but I'll turn it over to Meg to get started, and then we'll hear from Karen too.
Great, thanks, Stephanie. So the first bullet on here, we talked about this a little, but it is important. So it's worth mentioning again that even though the MEFA loans are considered family loans and everyone has an equal responsibility to repay, in terms of how they're processed, they should be processed as a parent or sponsor loan when you're processing an ELM. So the student's information should not go in the borrower section. And if we receive it, as Stephanie said, it's going to hold up the processing because it hits a review on our end and we have to go in and correct it. So if you could let people in your office know, particularly if they're certifying by file, that the student's information is in the student section and parents in the borrower section, that would be great. And then, as Stephanie mentioned, the MEFA loan can't exceed the cost of attendance less estimated financial aid, and don't include the MEFA loan in the aid. So the next one we haven't talked about yet, there's a common line limitation that prevents figures over $99,999. So in ELM, you can't enter a loan amount or cost of attendance over that amount. So for MEFA Solution, we have our school portal that we're going to do a demo of shortly. We would recommend that schools process these loans in our portal because it can accommodate that and it doesn't need any manual adjustments. If you process it through the MEFA portal, the loans can still disperse via NDN if that's how you're set up. So I'll pause here and see if Karen wants to add anything about that.
Sorry, I couldn't find my mute button. No, well, the only thing I wanted to add is that if you're processing through ELM, we do have the requirement coded for MEFA loans. So if you are going to certify a loan and you forgot to put that cost of attendance and EFA in there, we will prompt you to go ahead and complete it. Additionally, if you are sending us a file and it doesn't include the cost of attendance and EFA, we would send that record to the exception queue and you could go ahead and fix it there. But we've built that in, and yeah, 100% because of the common line restrictions. If you do have a loan certified for over 100,000, I would recommend you use that MEFA portal as well.
Yeah, it's just easier. So Karen, does ELM, and I know this is a common issue, so it's not necessarily an ELM decision, but we have a question about if ELM has any plans to increase capacity for loan amounts for these amounts, because we see lots of, especially health profession programs that might be a one-year program, will be over 100,000. If you want to address that.
Right, sure. So yes, it's definitely something we've discussed. As Stephanie pointed out, the difficulty is that when we build that capacity, it affects every lender that we do business with, and it's a matter of actually changing the common line file format that we all have used for so many years. So definitely on our plates, we have not come up with a resolution yet because it would require some change in processing for all of our lenders. So the hope is that, yes, we will get there, but I don't have a date to say, hey, as of this day, we'll support it. So
thank you. And you know, it's a common line processing issue. But yeah, we found that the best way to do these loans is just certify it in the portal, and we can still disperse in your preferred method, whatever disbursement method you have set up. It's kind of, you know, it's a little bit of a clunky thing to do, but for now, we found that that's the best way to do that. Thank you, Karen. Good points.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. And thank you for bringing up the edits for cost of attendance and aid, making them required fields. MEFA was, you know, very happy that ELM was able to do that. It certainly helps out with our processing. So thank you. And so the final point on this slide, MEFA can't make increases to a loan once it's fully dispersed. So a couple of things on this one, couple situations. One would be if the loan was not certified for the full amount the borrower requested. And then once it reaches a fully dispersed status, even if there's still that room there, we're not able to add a disbursement at that point because the loan's already transferred to our servicing system. So at that point, the family would need to apply for a new loan. The other situation that we've had come up is if a loan is fully dispersed and the school sends a refund, asking it to be reissued at a later date. Again, we're not able to process those kinds of requests because once the loan is fully dispersed, you know, it's closed on the origination side and it's on our servicing system. So if you know, and as always, if you have any questions about these, you know, before you make the request, you know, certainly reach out to MEFA and we can help clarify.
Great, thank you, Meg. Okay, let me turn over the controls to you. Hold on one second. Okay, so you should be able to control the screen, Meg, but let me know.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Stephanie. Let me go ahead and share my screen. We're going to look at the portal quickly. Yes. Is everyone able to see the portal?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so we've heard over the years that for people who use the portal, they find it very easy and straightforward to use. So basically, when you log in, there's just a couple of options here. You can, you know, search for a student. Up on the top here, you can search by the social, MEFA's application ID, or part of their name. Or down at the bottom here, you have the options to certify loans, look at a status report, or look at disbursement rosters. So there are two ways that you can certify. One is that you would go to the certify loans and you would get a list here of all the loans that are ready to certify for your school. Because this is a test environment, we just have one right here just to illustrate, but you could have a whole, you know, you could be scrolling down, you could have, you know, dozens of loans on this page, and you can choose to certify right from this page. You would click the certify box here and you could fill in the information, the required fields right here, confirm the disbursement dates, and go ahead and certify. You can certify multiple loans at a time, and you could pre-fill information, cost of attendance or disbursement dates, loan periods. And then finally on this screen, there'd be an option if a student's not eligible, you could cancel it right from this screen. So we'll come back to this, but for now I wanted to demo quickly how to make changes once you've certified if you needed to make a change to a record. So let me pull up a test account. So this is a loan that has already been certified. The status is approved for disbursement. And currently it has one disbursement scheduled for this amount. So before the loan disperses, you can always come back into the portal and make changes. You can change really any of the fields. You can change the loan period, graduation date, any of the fields. You could also add a disbursement. We get this question a lot. This little button down here in the lower left corner, if you click on this, it will add a disbursement. So, you know, maybe you were supposed to have 2 disbursements on this full year loan. So we'll go ahead and add a disbursement for January. There's a little tool here that can split the certified amount over the disbursements. And then you could just go ahead, hit continue and submit, and the change would take. You can go after it takes, we can go back in and see it there. So then the same thing, if you wanted to get rid of a disbursement, you can remove a disbursement, move all the money up to the, you know, to the first disbursement. So any kind of changes here, you know, you can do up until it disperses. So one other thing, I wanted to go back to the main menu and go back to the certified loans here. Well, one option that we get questions about sometimes is if a school is to cancel disbursements, maybe say, you know, the student's not eligible or whatever the situation, and they go ahead, you'd go ahead and cancel it and submit. So that would fall off your list. Now we do have the function of available that if you wanted to go back in, say something changed and the student's now eligible, you can actually reinstate it through the portal. So see right now, this loan is terminated by the school because we just canceled it. You can actually, there's this reinstate button right here. So you could actually go ahead, reinstate it, and then go ahead and fill out the, you know, the required fields for the certification.
Meg, while you're on that page, can you just show them under the student and loan information section, the little arrow where you can open up and see more information? I find that schools aren't aware of the
Good
additional
point.
detail there.
Right, good point, Stephanie. So there are these little buttons here where you can click on and you can see a little more information here about, you know, this is the student's name. You would see if there was a co-borrower here. This is a graduate loan. So in this test account, the student applied on their own. Here's the MEFA application ID. You just get a little more information here. You know, the program, it's an interest-only loan, documents are complete, the status. It would show if there'd been, you know, disbursements, cancellations, all of that. So thanks, Stephanie, that was a good thing to point out.
And you can see who the co-borrower is too, which I think is helpful sometimes. So
Right.
thanks, Meg. I'll let you continue. I won't interrupt anymore.
Please, that was a good thing to point out. I mean, and honestly, the portal is, you know, very easy to use. As Stephanie mentioned, you can sign up right on the on our college admin page. And I know that some of you use the function here. If you want to pull a disbursement roster, you know, you can just click here and click on the date of the disbursement and you can pull down the roster. So that's really, in a nutshell, the overview of the portal. I'll let if anyone has any questions, I'll keep it up so we could look at it. But I will go ahead, Stephanie, and turn it back over to you.
Great, thank you. And a couple other things I wanted to mention is you can set up your Bursar student accounts with view-only access to, you know, if they just want to download disbursement rosters, you don't want them certifying loans, but you might want them to download some rosters. So, all right, so it's 2 o'clock. So these are just screenshots that Meg put in there. So, you know, in case we had trouble accessing the system, but I thought it was great to have a live demo. So we are on social media. Please like us, link with us, tweet with us, all of that good stuff. We're on Instagram now, which is cool. Just going through Instagram the other day and I heard my voice out of the blue. I'm like, what is that? And it was a webinar that I'd done that they'd, you know, chopped up into little pieces and put little snippets on Instagram. So we are on there. All of our webinars are on the video page of YouTube. You can access them on MEFA.org. And we have a podcast. If anybody wants to write a blog or anything like that, we're happy to consider that. But our podcast is actually really great too. So please connect with us on social media. And with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. I know that some folks might have to drop off, but we'll open up the Q&A if anybody wants to type something in. And I'll just, while we're waiting for those questions, here's our contact information. So at MEFA, you have our 800 number. We have college administrators. You're number 1 in our queue. So you just have to press 1 once you call the 800 number. Our email is right there, MEFA certified. That's really for Dorina, Meg, and I. You know, mostly Dorina and I, and when we're not in the office, like yesterday, Meg takes care of those emails for us. And it kind of goes in one place. So that's easy for you to access. In the websites right here. And then we have ELM, the 800 number, their email and website. So easy access to get in touch with us at any time. Let's see. All right. I don't see any questions in here, but I'm going to leave it open for just another second in case anybody has any before we shut down the webinar. Okay. I don't see any questions coming in. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Again, we'll share the recording as well as the slides if you didn't download those. And thanks Dorina, Karen, and Meg for great presentations. And I think it was a good group effort. So have a great day, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.